Okay, ladies and gentlemen, to all Merry Christmas. Wish you all the best this holiday. And coming to you from the United States, this is 45 City TV, and welcome to the show of the Roundtable Discussion. Today, there's going to be a very, very heated, sensitive, informative discussion, and we have two outstanding Liberians to debate for and against, pro and the con of this discussion. We'll be talking about development in Liberia from a different angle. So stay tuned. Hope you're having a wonderful Christmas, and we're here to bring some information to you. Thank you for joining, Mr. Abraham Kanibu. Welcome to
Thank you.
podcast today. Okay. Mr. Darius Dillon, Mr. Not Darius Dillon, wow. Mr. Willie Dillon will be joining us shortly. And as you know, from the movement to make Liberia better, we always discuss very important topics. We have a lot of debate and about different things on how to move Liberia forward. So if you're not being a part of it, you're missing out. So one of the discussion today was how do we develop Liberia, or what has been the hindrance or some of the hindrances to developing Liberia. So as we await Mr. Willie Dillon, we will start with you, Mr. Cannibal.
Well, I think, like me, I'm not against development in Liberia. I would love for Liberia to be developed today because Liberia is our country and we love our country. So, in fact, when you look at history, other people bringing development to the country, I would say something here quickly. President Kennedy, the former president of the United States, said, "Let us ask for what we can do for our country and not what our country can do for us." But when you look at a certain way that other people want to see Liberia develop at the detriment of the Liberian people, I'm against that, more especially as it relates to the topic that are hand today concerning the government removing the clause from the constitution to allow white people to own land. White people are some of the richest people in the world. And if Liberia don't have a stronger law, we cannot remove that clause from the constitution. I'm not against white people from owning land. Anywhere they can own land from now to judgment day, but the key there is we'll go back into slavery because the constitution of the Republic of Liberia from the time that constitution been put in office, it have not been used. The people have been running Liberia by heart for over 172 years now and counting. And because of that, if you allow white people to own land in the country, Liberia will go back into slavery. It will be the new frontier as it relates to slavery in Africa. You can hear me?
All right, there we go. Sorry.
I lost you for a
Yeah,
minute.
I heard your statement, and our other guest disagrees with you. He thinks that many places around Africa today and black countries, Jamaica, uh, Barbados, all these countries, they allow people to come, investors to buy land in Liberia. And he does not think that restricting people from investors will it will cause any problem in Liberia, except that the bad government is responsible. So perhaps you can join us, and I think Pastor Patient will also be joining us to debate this subject. But I have some questions before they join us. Where do you get the notion, or what is your feeling about the whole land issue in Liberia?
First of all,
Nigerians own almost all of the land in Liberia.
First of all, if you look at land, most of the land are owned by the indigenous. Liberia, before Liberia became Liberia, it was called Green Coast. Liberia was established ever since before, but the only thing that didn't happen was for a colonial power to come and take over Liberia. Go back to the Liberian history quickly as it relates to the settlement. The people who came and settled in Liberia as it relates to the people who came from the Congo and other people who came from the United States, because you got two group of settlers that settled in Liberia, for which, if you are a mathematics student, you will know that the higher number carried the sun. The people that came from the Congo were in record number, they were plenty. They came from the Fidana Pole, because when slave trade were going on in Africa, it went on along the sea coast of Africa. And so they bought slaves and they took those slaves. Those slaves used to dock. Those slaves used to dock in the place they call the Fidana Pole in the Congo. And then when the United States decided we're going to repatriate slaves back to Africa, they authorized Samuel Mills and Ebenezer Budget to come to Liberia to try to find a suitable land for the people that was here, to the people that were already here in America, their return and all that stuff. So America played a major role in the establishment of slave trade in Africa. So even some of the people who never reached this soil, they were taken from the Fidana Pole and taken back to Africa. The same thing that happened in Liberia when our people went into refugee camp in Ghana, where they had a refugee camp. That Congo town, where you're looking at the Congo town, is called Congo, Congo, Congo town, because it is the place where the people that came from Congo, they host those slaves. I mean, the people that were on their way into slavery were returned to. They brought them there. They say, well, let's quarantine these people here before before they can go inland. We have to be able to give them vaccination. We have to be able to check them before they can go inland. Now, if you look at the land itself, Liberia land, because in fact, in the Hall of Congress, go back to the Hall of Congress and look at the document that are there when it comes to appropriation of land in Liberia. The indigenous owned the land, so the United States government had to pay money to bring the Congo people the American Liberian to have a place to live. In Monrovia, they pay money to the people to settle those people there, the American Liberian. You see, because they were less in number. So the United States government paid money actually to the indigenous to have them come to Liberia. And I'm speaking from a position where my great grandfather, the man they used to call Bob Gray. I am the descendant of Bob Gray. So if you look at what happened, the United States government did not forcibly want to take the land from the people and say, look, we're going to take the land and give it to the settlers. But we can pay money to some of the indigenous people that own vast land, so that they can be able we'll be able to settle these people here. And that's how the indigenous agreed to take money to try to resettle their brothers and sisters that came from abroad. Now, the United States government wrote a constitution for Liberia. If you look at the constitution that was written in 1847, for Liberia was written by a Harvard University professor called Samuel Greenleaf, for which the Constitution of Liberia until 1980 was called the Greenleaf Constitution. If you look at that constitution carefully, the government cannot get up. The government doesn't own land in Liberia. Many people make that mistake and say they land are government land. That's not. Government don't own no land. The indigenous of Liberia own land in Liberia, and the government use what they call eminent domain to take that land from you to make development on it, more especially as it relates to when they want to build roads, they want to build this, they want to build that. The government can use eminent domain to take portion of that land and try to develop it for the consumption of the entire citizenry of Liberia. So the land is there, but it's owned by somebody before the actual Western government was settled there.
Okay, Brian. All right. So we'll get our guest who disagrees with you and feels that one of the obstacles to development in Liberia is the bad laws and the Constitution. Not only the land and the Constitution, but we all can agree that our Constitution has not served us. It has not stopped corruption. It has not developed us. I think we can agree on that, correct?
What I mean, if the Constitution is if the Constitution, I mean, if the government is corrupt, the Constitution is not corrupt because the Constitution is written and it's there in black and white. It's not going to change. But the people, the bad governance, like you really said, bad governance is the problem Liberia got. Liberia got problem. Liberia have not been lucky enough to have somebody that wants. Go ahead.
All right. But many countries have to change the Constitution or amend the Constitution.
How do you
even in America? Hold on now. Even in America, yeah, the Constitution was bad. It says that a black man cannot marry a black woman until 1969. Right?
If you look at
hold on now. You're a guest today.
Yeah,
you have your say.
Okay.
I just want to lay the premise.
Of course.
Ghana changed the Constitution. They took 12 from other 8. Okay. Ghana Constitution was created recently in the 60s when they won the independence. Most countries in the world has revived the Constitution to meet up with the modern realities.
All right.
The Liberia Constitution was only changed in 1986 in very, very late. It was not even changed. Basically, it was just giving amnesty to people who work through the government. There were not real changes in the Constitution. So there can be bad Constitution and there can be good Constitution. Do you agree with me on that?
I disagree because the premise you lay there is not what happened to the Constitution. The Constitution is a document that is there already, but they go through amendment. That's the word you're looking for. The word amendment.
No, why not change the entire Constitution?
No, you can't
rewriting the Constitution.
You can't do that because what it did was when Samuel Doe took over in Liberia in 1980, the Constitution was suspended because it was a military government. When the military government took over in NMP, they suspend the Constitution because the people rule by decree. Now, when the country was getting ready to go back to civilian rule, that's the reason why they brought in Archibald Bana, who was the chairman of the Constitutional Revised Committee.
Yeah. But Rwanda changed the Constitution. Rwanda rewrote the whole Constitution.
Yeah, but you say Rwanda, but not Liberia. Not Liberia. We're talking Liberia.
The point I'm trying to make, because we get hooked on a lot of things. England does not have a constitution. Their countries without a constitution. So, I mean, Constitution is not a Bible. It's not something where America, like you said, they amended the Constitution, which means changing it.
Of course. Right? Yes.
Okay, it's not a Bible. The people who wrote it, they made a mistake. They were not thinking on some things. They had some other objectives and so forth. Liberia Constitution, we can agree. A constitution that says that the president will hire justices of the peace, will appoint justices of the peace, will hire everybody in the country, including university presidents, will hire notary public. Even a notary public in Liberia, the president hires. That's a stupid constitution. It doesn't make any sense. Where one man would be allowed to appoint almost everybody in the country. You can agree with me that does not make sense. It gives too much power to one man. He may as well be king.
Well, the Liberian Constitution gave power to the president in a sense, but the key there is one of the things I don't like about the Liberian Constitution that require amendment is the fact that the people who you're supposed to look at as governor of the state here in America, who are the superintendent in the Republic of Liberia, those superintendents need to be elected positions, and like you really said, they are appointed position by the president. So basically,
that's what the Constitution said. And that's why the point I'm starting with is that the Constitution is bad.
Of course, but the thing that is we can amend the Constitution. Yeah. We can amend the Constitution to a degree because even the United States, as great as the country is, it has gone through over 200 amendments that have taken place in the Liberian, United States.
And that means when you amend something, that means it's bad. That's why you're amending it.
Of course, that means
change.
That means changes, yes.
So exactly. The point I'm trying to make The
Mhm.
idea of the Constitution or law is to make the people better,
Of
to
course,
safeguard them against ills in society.
of
If
course,
it does not do that, it is bad. That means there were not enough check and balances put into place, or they didn't overlook certain things.
no,
It's
probably,
like you have a manual for your computer, and you go read the computer manual, and it can't fix the computer. You have to rewrite the
of
code
course.
for that thing.
Of course, but one of the things that happened in America, let me support you on something you said here, is that brought about an amendment of the United States Constitution. Also, is if you look at the word that people use against black people in this country, the N word, that N word, the reason why the white man used it in this country against black people was very simple. Because if you look at something in the United States Constitution, which is part of the clause in the United States Constitution, it says all men are created equal under the law. That's why that's the point that Martin Luther King held on to free black people in this country when it comes to the civil rights movement. That say all men are created equal. The question there, it did not put its finger on the Constitution, did not put a finger on it to say, well, white men are created equal and black people are not created equal. That's the reason why they call black people the N-word. Because if they call you the N-word, you are compared to cattle and dog. You see, that's why the white man stood on to say, well, let's call these people the N-word. If you look at the definition of an N-word, then of course it's somebody who had no brain at all. It doesn't put a color on the body. The cattle and dog doesn't have no brain like us. They don't have no intellect like us.
Right.
So that's the reason why
one of the mistakes I think that we do is in Liberia, when somebody develops something, right? They are only developing it to their ability at the time.
Of course, that's true.
That means to say, over time, they're expecting other people will come, will use their heads, improve on it, change it, discard it, adapt it, reject it, wherever.
Yeah, but the thing is, let me help you on that again. The guy who wrote the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia was not a black man. He was a white man from the United States, Samuel Greenleaf. The Greenleaf, that's why they called it the Greenleaf Constitution in the Republic of Liberia from 1847 to 1980. The Greenleaf Constitution, Samuel Greenleaf was a white Harvard University professor who the ACS, the United States government, designated to write the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia. What he did was he put only one clause in our Constitution that was different from the United States Constitution, which is only Negro descendants can purchase and own land. The point that we're going to argue here today, you see?
Yeah, but I mean, again, what a white man wrote it, black man wrote it, I wrote it, you wrote it. The fact remains that if the United States can change the Constitution according to you all these many times, right? If a country like Rwanda that is doing 10 times better than Liberia,
right,
that look at the Constitution and say, you know what, this is going to bring division among our people.
Look,
this is going to cause us problem. Why in Liberia we keep looking to something that somebody created, decades ago, almost a century ago, and we think that that thing is enough, where nowhere in the world does that. Nobody does.
No, but the thing is, I'm not supporting the idea of the Constitution being set in stone and it can't be changed and all that thing. You hear myself, got no qualm on it. We got no argument on it. Because if the United States Constitution, United States, which is one of the greatest countries on earth, can have amendment of their Constitution over 200 times in Congress, then of course it is time now for us to try to go back to our Constitution. But the argument should be held among the Liberian people so that we can vote on it, put in referendum on the ballot, so that we can vote upon it to see as to where the ice gonna fall.
Well, don't you think? I know the referendum in Liberia, right? It's a very difficult process. It's almost impossible for a referendum to be adopted, because even I think the Senate has to still vote on it after the referendum is adopted, correct?
Of course, the Senate had to the Senate had to vote on it because it is the Senate. The argument going to go to the house of the lower and the upper house. When they have argued it up, and then they will put it on the ballot. People will vote on it. Then that's it. That's the last place
Good.
It got to be.
Good. So if the question here is that we have bad government, We have incompetent senators and representatives.
Right.
They are useless. Then how can we go and expect that same useless and incompetent senator that were put there for travel reason or because the board vote to have the ability to go and argue to do stuff for our country that's better? To me, it's kind of intuitive. It's like you hire somebody who is not capable for a job, but then you rely on that person to bring in the changes that you want. Dylan, welcome to the show.
Okay, great.
All right, good.
Thank you guys for letting me in.
Yeah. So again, so we just discussing the hindrances to development. I'm sure you can hear the conversation. We're starting with the Constitution. Okay, and we're discussing where many countries have changed the Constitution, not just amended, but they just strap it because it was not benefiting them or most of the population. Liberia still stuck in the past in terms of something that was, created 1847 with minor revision in 1986. We expect that thing to guide us into the 21st century, even though the flaw is within it, because if the Constitution allows for the people who are elected, in our case, the people who are elected with all much qualifications. So a crazy man in Liberia, according to our Constitution, can become president. A crazy man. There's no stipulation. A man who can speak English can become president of our country.
Yeah, but what English got to do? What English got to do with the man intellect?
Well, because I believe, or anybody, if you're going to be making law, you have to be sane. First of all, you have to be intelligent. You can't take your own intelligent person and say, go and write laws that will govern your country for the future, that will fight against exploitation, that will fight against corrupt mining companies. What sense does that make? Is that you giving your 6-year-old child the keys to your car and say, go drive my car? So that's why people in government, there should be a minimum requirement.
The thing is, I understand what you're saying.
I would add to that also. I do agree with where you're coming from, saying that English has nothing to do with someone's intellect. But I agree with that. That's true, right? But what you have to look at too is that there is a lingua franca that's already been established for Liberia, which is English, right? Okay. So if that is the lingua franca, if that is the language that we have accepted as a national language, right? I do not think that you would choose a leader of a country that speaks a whole different lingua franca. Someone who speaks French and then say, oh yeah, we want to make him the leader of Liberia. That makes no sense. Someone who only speaks Bassa and then you say you want him to be, that makes no sense. Now it's like you saying the laws of the country is that of a democratic country, but then you take someone from a communist frame of mind and way of doing things, but what's wrong with his intellect? Okay, yes, nothing wrong with his intellect, but he's operating from a whole different frame of reference. Okay. Does that represent the leader within that frame of reference, within that framework? No. So let's not argue about that. Please.
You just contradicted yourself on that.
What do you mean I contradicted myself? Because if you take someone from a different frame of reference.
Hold on 1 second.
So let's give him a chance, Abraham. So are you saying that a crazy person, if the people elect somebody who the doctor says is crazy, but the people elect them to be senator or president, that is fine with you? Is that what you're saying? Because that's the bottom line. Or criminal, or somebody who
you're talking to me?
Yes, because I want to get what side you stand on the topic. I mean, we don't go into all the other nuances, or just know your position.
You see, one of my position here is this: Liberian people are very intelligent. More especially, I'll give you a case in point. When I came from Liberia and I have my own show that I do here, when I began to criticize George Weah, there were a lot of people who were opposing me and a lot of people were for me. And we went through it, and today George Weah lost the election because of what we did, what we continue to do in Liberia, more especially as it relates to the kind of corrupt practices that were there, and the suffering of our people. And today we have a new government in office. I'm not a Joseph Boakai fan. I'm not a because Joseph Boakai then But in government sense, here was support. But the key there is I want to change the government for the fact that there were arbitrary murder and a whole lot of barrage of things that were taking place in Liberia that are kick against. So I had to come in there to try to let my voice be heard. And people who wanted to speak out, their voices were not heard because they didn't have the same platform that I have. Now, let's go back to the actual issue that I had. The thing that is, my brother here lamented that those of us who speak Bassa and people who speak vernaculars within Liberia cannot, should not, or if I understood him right, should not be in public spaces, more especially as it relates to the government.
That's not what I said.
Okay.
I said,
I mean, I
if the
stand to be
person,
corrected.
if the person
So let him
speaks,
clarify what he said.
a common
Okay.
example. Okay, I use French first, right?
Right. Right.
I
Sure.
said we have chosen a national language.
Right.
Which means that language should be something that we all should unify around, and we
Mhm.
all should at least be able to use in order to do commerce, to do trade, and to live life socially, right?
Right.
If someone only speaks one, let's forget Bassa. If the person only speaks B, now B is a very small group of people in Liberia. If the
Of course.
person only speaks and understands B, right?
Mhm.
Can we say that because, okay, this person is a Liberian, we should make him our leader? No, I think
course.
the language, when you choose a lingua franca in a country, it's also should be something that unifies everybody. It shouldn't be reflective of just one segment or one demographic of the country. That's why
So you agree with that? I mean, he made his point very clear now. You agree with what he's saying, or you disagree?
I disagree with him. I disagree with him.
So you're saying that
in the first place,
in Liberia. Hold on.
Mhm.
So I have my kids in Liberia. They
Mhm.
learn Spanish. They can speak a word of English. I
Okay.
got a lot of money. I go and campaign, and that person wins the election, but they can't communicate. It's fine with you. Is that what you're saying?
It's fine with me, yes. Because
Okay.
in the first place,
so we get your point.
let me
So say no more. So we got your point that it doesn't matter the person's education, their sanity, their thing. The Constitution, our Constitution says, majority vote.
it will be purely discriminatory when you do that. Just because the man can speak.
You made your point that the national language should not be taken into consideration. So let's move on. Let's move on. On the second issue here. So Dylan, we're talking about the Constitution.
Right.
Many believe that the Constitution in Liberia is antiquated.
Right.
At the very least.
I agree.
Okay. The time it was written, the circumstances were written, it was a copy job for someplace else that really does not resemble what we have.
Okay.
Are you proposing also that you think it's time for us to really redo our Constitution, not just to amend it, but redo it? Abraham, you can go ahead until he comes back.
First of all, brother, one of the things you got to look at is it's just the same thing that happened between Walter Topper and Dr. H. Boyman family when I was in Liberia one time. Dr. H. Boyman family holds 1 PhD and Walter Topper holds 6 PhD. And he was the Flag Day orator that day. I mean, that time on August 24th is Flag Day in Liberia. And this guy who got 6 PhD came up and said the Liberian flag should be changed. You could get up from now and change the Liberian flag from now to tomorrow. If the people are not willing to bring development to Liberia, it will still be poor. It will still be destitute. It will still be on the same path that we own, corrupt and destroy. But with the flag being in place, Liberian people can rally around that flag and develop their country. The point there, Walter Topper made, a man who has 6 PhD, who people look at to be one of the most clever people on earth in Liberia by Liberian standard. Walter Topper has 6 PhD. Boyman family got 1 PhD, and Boyman family came and said our flag had nothing to do with where the direction our country take. As long as we are willing to develop our country, we should not worry about the flag. And he made a sound decision. I mean, made a sound speech that people listened to and everybody supported him. The key there is Liberia from 1847 100 to now, it's about 100. Liberia is about 172 or 171-year-old now. The constitution of our country, like I said to you, was written by Samuel Greenleaf, for which the constitution that governed Liberia from 1847 from 1847 to 1980 was called the Greenleaf Constitution in Liberia. Those of you who can make a research on that.
It's true. No, it's true. It's
now,
true. From Harvard University.
If you look at that constitution, of course, it can be outdated because the United States Constitution have been revised over. Amendment have taken place over 200 times since the United States Constitution was put in office. I don't have a problem with that. But in the instance or in the interim that the Liberian Constitution have been put aside for all those years since the Liberian government was founded, and the Constitution have not benefited nobody. You can't go unilaterally get up and say, well, we want amendment on this Constitution because we don't like it. You have not used the document in the first place, so why are you changing it? If the Liberian people were looking at the Constitution, the government that have come to office that have left our country with where it is today, use the Constitution to its advantage, then I will agree wholeheartedly and say, no, you can do whatever you want to do with the Constitution. The last time that Constitution was visited was the time Amos Sawyer was alive. He was the chairman for the revised Constitution, and Archibald and I was the Secretary General, and other people helped them to revise the Constitution. So I will digress on that note so that my brother can be able to get some voice into, or add here into, because the whole thing is centered around the development of our country.
For you, like I said, what I want to know for you, are you thinking like the Constitution is bad and needs to be changed, or is the Constitution is fine and maybe you guys need to keep going by amending it?
The thing that is this. More people want to see, even when my brother was in Liberia, or the late Tom when he was in Liberia, they wanted to remove the clause from the Constitution that while we've been debating behind the scene before we came here.
We'll get there. We'll get there. But I don't think that's the only clause. A clause where it says the president will hire MCSS, Memorial Schools Council Commissioner. Yeah. The president got nothing better to do. The clause that would say the president has to hire a notary public. It's in the Constitution.
Of course, but
that's a waste.
The thing that is this. Mm-hmm. Even the point that my brother was just talking about. You know, I don't want to have to get up and agree to everything that he said, because if you look at the legislature is the one that killing the country. The legislature, with look at the way people are elected in the House of Representatives and Senate.
But that's the point we're making. That
of course, that's the point you're making. But that's not what the Constitution. That's not what the Constitution says.
No, but Abraham, hold on, I'll give the flow.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying in his team, a warlord, if he's elected by the people, can be there in the legislature. But then you see again, the product of what you have today is a result of your Constitution not putting safeguards into who can be elected. So there are two different things. Anybody can be, according to our Constitution, I can be the worst person in the society. I can be, corrupt as anything. Like in the case of some of our people who the international community has said this man is corrupt.
Okay.
We're not going to do business with him, right? But your Constitution said he's fine. Like a man like what's his name? Bill Traore. What you call the other one?
What the guy name?
Kamaka, for instance, found guilty.
Okay.
The Constitution of Liberia said, hey, if the people want it, go with it. So I'm thinking that Constitution has a problem. And now the problem you're facing today is with bad leadership comes from that particular bad Constitution. But that's just my own layman idea. But you can't expect, if you plant an apple tree, you can't expect to get orange from the apple tree.
When you look at the Liberian Constitution, there is nothing that says corruption. There is nothing that talks about corruption there.
So that's another reason why it should be changed.
Hold on 1 second. When you look in the Liberian Constitution, there is nothing that talk about corruption. It talk about the role that people have to play to be able to elect somebody. Let's look at Brandon Samuel that you talk about quickly. Brandon Sabakai, there is something called ethics. Ethics in Liberia. Sometimes your ethical standards have to supersede portion of the constitution, because technically, if you look at Brandon Sabakai, who was elected from Lofa County to be senator, if we're looking at the constitution, then of course that man should take his position. But if you look at the ethical cloud that was hanging over him, could that permit the Senate to allow him to take his seat? They have to go into a committee, for that committee to allow Brandon Sabakai to take a seat in the Senate of the Liberian or legislature. The reason why that happened, there is something called norm within Liberia. It is not written, but you have to follow the norm. You can't be criminal, leave from here and go to Liberia and say, "Well, I come here and want to be a leader here." One of the things here is this: Liberian people have become complacent and they violate that norm, that particular norm, by allowing people like Fanatic Kofa, who were in prison here in America, who is a criminal, who has a criminal record, ethical cloud over him, to be in the office of representative.
You're defending the Constitution as the laws of the land that does not discriminate against it, man. You're saying that people shouldn't be discriminated, even if you can't speak English, even if you're crazy, they elect you.
Of course, but the thing that is this.
So I don't know which side you're on.
That's why
be president if you can't communicate with nobody. But
that's why they call it. That's why they call it. That's why they call it.
The criminal who didn't commit crime in Liberia.
That's why they call.
Even if you don't buy into the ethics.
That's why they call that the thing that we're living under. The thing that we're living under. That's why they call it democracy.
But it's not in your constitution, so it's not binding. It's not a law.
Because there's something that supersedes portion of the constitution when it comes to ethics.
Yeah, but your
interpretation when it comes to ethics.
We got your point. Your interpretation let me explain something. From bill tariffs.
Let me put this in.
You understand what I mean? That's why you have a
no. Come back with that one. When it kind of built, when it kind of built to our say that. I mean, come back with that.
What we're seeing here is there's a purpose you have a constitution.
Of course,
a purpose you have law. Because the way I see things, I may feel it's okay for me to drink 10 bottles of beer and go to work. Another person may feel 2 bottles of beer is another person will feel you shouldn't have any. That's why you put things in writing.
That is
when you govern your country. So if your constitution don't say anything about it, then everybody has the right to interpret it the way they want to interpret it.
Just that's like you have the right to think that if someone cannot communicate with everyone in the country, then they should still be given a chance. Yeah. Someone else may think, you know what? But
so
this man committed a crime somewhere else and not against Liberia. So that should not be senator. You see that?
So they hear your view on this. Our brother here will come back. So your view, are you for the whole constitution right now? We need to get people together, strap it, start fresh, put things in it like you can't be a criminal or you can't be accused for corruption and run on a ticket. The president powers limited. You understand? And the other issue we're talking about, perhaps even opening the country up to development from people who want to come and invest. They're not going to take the land. So what are your views on that? You for that or against it? First of all, state your point.
Are you referring to Dylan or Cannibal?
You, Dylan.
You, Dylan.
Okay. Yeah, I think our country needs a totally new direction, man. I do agree with what Mr. Cannibal said. That true. It is true that. Well, the only part that he said is not true is that he said the American government through the ACS. No, the Liberia was founded purely by a private organization, which is the ACS. It just happened to be that the members of the ACS were in the government also, but it was a private organization. The Constitution was written by Simon Greenleaf. He was a Harvard professor. It is true. Now, the major difference was not only the Negro Clause. The major difference of the U.S. Constitution, the Liberian Constitution, is the formation of the country. The American Constitution formed a federal state. The Liberian Constitution formed a unitary state, meaning like one state is in America. How Georgia operates is how Liberia operates, not as a confederacy or a federal government. So because of that, that's why when you ask the question why everything is so unitary, meaning the president has his hands in everything, is because they designed a government in that way. It's by design, not by default. In a unitary state, the power is centralized. And because it's so centralized, it runs in that way. It's not spread out like you have in a federal government. We've tried it for 100 and some odd years. It took a very long time for things to pick up off the ground. And then when it seemed like it was picking up in the 50s, 60s, 70s economically, we crashed again because we didn't have cohesion, social cohesion in the country. The statement that he made, the statement that he made and said the Constitution has not benefited anyone is not true. That's why we fought the war, because there was one segment of the population that reaped all the benefits or majority of the benefits in the country over that of the rest of the country. And because that happened for so long, it led to the coup, and the coup led to the war, and that's where we are today. So we need a fresh start. The fresh start that we need, I would say we need a scrap, because the 86, if you really look at the 86 Constitution and the 1847 Constitution, there's not many differences. They changed one or two things, they revised it a little bit, but it really didn't do a deep dive into the social problems
before we'll go to Mr. Abraham. Thank you for your point. So you cleared it for strapping the Constitution, because the thing is, it's a simple issue. You either on one side or on the other side.
Yes, I'm for that, but I'm saying you can't be for both sides. We have to look at the deep issues that got us to where we are, and we have to address them.
And why most arguments by Liberian is you won't be for this thing, but you won't be for this thing. It's just like how they play the politics. I won't be for Barca, but at the same time I won't be for Gonglo. I won't be for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you are saying strap it. Mr. Kennable is saying, you know what? It's okay. The government is responsible for it. So we'll go back to you, sir.
I think,
and
to
elaborate. No, let's go back to Abraham. Let's give him the chance to respond to what you just said, to not strap it and to keep it and maybe make minor changes.
If I may say something, when the brother went back to the Constitution and the formation of Liberia. Actually, I didn't have to talk about the federal system. The federal system is not there, of course. You're 100% right. But it was the United States government that sent Samuel Mills and Ebenezer Budget to Liberia. It was not an organization that sent Samuel Mills. Go back and do your research on that. That sent Samuel Mills and Ebenezer Budget to Liberia to find a suitable land for the free slave to come back to, even though the organization helped to repatriate people from here. And James Monroe and other people were part of this organization to repatriate free American slaves back to Africa, exactly Liberia. You remember?
I don't think anybody disagree with the history of it.
No, but I just want to clarify that little point right there. He 100% right on the federal aspect of it. Liberia is just one of those states. That's the reason why the flag was extracted. I mean, the star there represent the only Negro republic on the coast of Africa. So let agree on that one. I know we agree on that.
I don't think anybody on the history of Liberia.
Let's move on to the.
And I'm going to hold you to this.
To the Constitution part.
Change the Constitution. And
no, we're not going to. We should not change. We should not do away with the Constitution.
No, I'm not saying do away. I'm saying change it.
No,
like in other countries.
No.
Why do you say that?
I don't want it. I don't want it.
Why you say that?
Fine. Again, he has laid his point. He has every right to defend his point.
But that's why I'm trying to defend my point now. And you just asked me the question, and I made it clear that we don't need to change the Constitution.
All right. So let me ask you a question. I think you agree that the government officials, including the senators and representatives, are elected are the problem in Liberia. Can you tell us how they the problem in Liberia?
Okay, if you want me to go ahead, I'll go ahead. You see, we have something called.
First, if you're not there, I think he froze. And if I get off, I'll come right back in myself.
Yeah, I'm coming back in now.
Okay.
And so I agree too that I agree that
you can see me now.
You're still frozen. All right, Dylan. So while we're with him, do you feel that the elected officials are the problem in Liberia? And if so, why do you
I
say they're the
think I
problem?
think the
What
elected
problem?
officials are part of the problem. They are a major component of the problem. I don't think that they are the problem
So what are the
in
other
its
components of the
entirety.
problem? So what do you think the other
You get
components are? So before we
The
go into
other
details on
components,
how.
the other components of the problem,
you see me? You see me now?
and yes,
You get see me?
No, you're still frozen.
you're still frozen though,
Jesus.
but we can hear you.
We can hear
Okay,
you. Yeah. So
I
name the
think the
component in.
legislature,
Can you do me a favor? Can you name it in terms of the highest component to the lowest, maybe percentage wise? What's the major problem in Liberia or problems? And
the
can you tell us?
major problem I think
But
that we have in
mhm,
Liberia is
mhm.
tied to the Constitution, like you guys are talking about, right?
Okay.
And I think the major problem is that number one, we formed a country around a constitution that is not reflective of who we are as a people. The Constitution was copied and pasted straight from America with American values addressing American problems and handed to African people who have African problems that are totally different from that of what's going on in America.
Okay.
Right?
So
And
that's
because we
one of the
did
major
that,
problems.
hold on. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What did you say?
No, I said no because in terms of time. So I got the point. One of the major problems, the biggest one, the Constitution.
Yes, it's the
And you just
Constitution.
elaborated on that.
And
Okay.
because of that, the people that reaped the benefits for almost the first 100 and some odd years were those who were inclined to a more Western way of doing things, because the whole Constitution was Western. So I think in Liberia now we have to look at all those problems. That's why I say it need to be scrapped. We have to look at our true identity as a people and form a nation based around that. Our values as Africans, our people, our way of life, and also included in a more modern way. Yeah, we do need a democracy, but based on our true values and our true identity, right? Now, the place the legislature comes in is because the legislature right now, they're caught up in something called regulatory capture, which means even though they are formed for a specific reason, they're operating based on interests that have nothing
I
to do
hate to
with why they're
interrupt you. I
formed.
just need to change device here. So just continue speaking and I'll come right back on. Okay. Just give me a
So because the legislature is operating with something called regulatory capture, meaning that of which the way in which they operate is for their own interest or a different interest from which they are truly formed, the country can't go forward. If you form a body and say this body is supposed to make laws to make sure that the country is ran in the proper way and that the interests of those who are governed are brought to the forefront, right? But yet this body is there seeking the best interests of a small group of people who are at the top. That means that interest group has captured the operation of that body for their own interest and not for the interest for which it's formed. That needs to be changed. But it all comes down to us changing, the operating agreement, which is the Constitution, and making sure that the operating agreement cover those things that will avoid regulatory capture and make sure that the government itself, the legislature, the executive, the judiciary, all work together to form a cohesive body that serves the interests of the people. So it has to be a deep dive, not like from 1980 to 1986 where they just changed one or two things. We have to look at who we are as a people, what is of the interest to all of us as Liberians, and what are the common things that hold us together. How can we use these things to move forward as a people? That's it.
I think I don't know why my camera is on.
All right. So I guess we
Hang on there.
can you hear me? Wow. We may have to start all over.
Yeah, I'm trying to get on, but then enter.
We apologize for that interruption. Yeah, Mr. Abraham, how you doing? Merry Christmas.
Yes, sir, for you.
Yeah, and we are hoping that the rest of the guys can come back on.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to continue the discussion?
Of course, the thing that I actually, then I came back and we will for you. So
I have you here twice, so I'm going to move one of your.
yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I think that was what we interrupted.
Okay.
We were talking about the Constitution and the Constitution. The other my fellow panelists were saying that we should scrap the Constitution. The Constitution need not to be scrapped. The Constitution is a good document. We can still use the Constitution. Even when you look at the Constitution that have existed around Liberia from 1847 to the time of the amendment, or when Samuel came to power, where the Constitution was disbanded, and then it was revised by Amos Sawyer and Ajibo Bana, and then Ajibo Bana was the Secretary General for the revised Constitution. And with all of what was done, the people never used the Constitution. They never put the Constitution into office, because if you look at the judiciary system of our country, they have violated people's human rights in our country as it relates to the Constitution. But the thing there is, if they were using the Constitution to know where people's rights are and this and that and the rest of it, then those things were not going to happen. And they were going to know what the Constitution says as it relates to human rights in the country and all that stuff. But because the Liberian politicians have become very complacent, they have become very complacent when it comes to the way they run our country. They put the working document aside and they decide to do something else. The idea of corruption in Liberia, is it constitutional? No. Who gave the government the opportunity, the right to deplete all of our funding? Or does the government have a right, or officials of Liberian government have a right to try to violate a young girl's right, a young girl who go look for a job, a young girl who only trying to do the right thing to get a job, because it is the God-given right of a citizen of the Republic of Liberia to go out to any one of those public offices and say, I'm here to find a job, because it is her human right and it's a constitutional right under law that she has the right, if she qualifies for a position, to apply for that position. But the criteria the government official use to try to hire that person is the wrong path. That is violation of the right of that person to say, well, I want to love to you. I want to, if that employer was the person who sort of hired that girl was a man, it would tell a girl, oh, I like you, and the girl cannot say no, because then she will forfeit the job. She will lose it. She will not get the job. Is completely wrong. That's a violation of a constitutional right, which is written in the Constitution. So I feel that the document is correct, the document is good, but enforcing the document is well lacking. You see, enforcing the document is lacking in Liberia. So we need, as a people, to enforce the Constitution that everybody have fought for over the years, and we all appreciate the Constitution, for which millions of dollars were spent to revise it again in 1980, when Samuel Doe came, 1985, before Samuel Doe came to power as president, by Amos Sawyer and other people.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cannibal. I'm glad that the discussion started with the Constitution because that's a legal document that is binding on everyone in the Republic of Liberia. Now we want to move beyond the Constitution. We know that there are some flaws or there are some things that are not properly interpreted in the Constitution, and there are some things that should be very clear instead of it being vague in the Constitution. But nevertheless, we want to go back to some other issues apart from the Constitution. What are some of the things that have impeded the development in Liberia? So we see so many things. We see the people itself. We see those in leadership. We see those that are clothed with responsibility. Those that are not doing the work they ought to do.
It's a little low, patient. I mean, the volume is a little low.
I want you to take your time and just give us some of those things. We cannot exhaust them, but we want that people that are watching. I'm glad
you can hear me.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
But it's a little low for me. Your voice. I mean, I'm not hearing everything.
Okay.
Are you close to the mic, or you can put your volume all over?
What you need to understand, if you receive a text, if you receive a call,
wait, hold on one second. Let me see something here.
Yeah.
Do my volume low.
Yeah.
And I can put it up.
Yeah. This is 45 City TV Roundtable. If you are just joining us, we are discussing today what has impeded development in Liberia. And if you are watching us and you want to call and join the conversation, you can call or WhatsApp. We're going to pull our numbers, or just one of the numbers. We can put it up so you can make your contribution if that's what you want to do right now. This is the number to call, and you can call or WhatsApp and tell us your own opinion on what has impeded development, or some of the things, or what you think is the cause. So the number is 952 201 9287. That's the number to call, and I'm going to put it on screen. So if you 952-201-9287. 952-201-9287. 952-201-9287. That's the number to call. I'm going to pull it up screen again, but I want to make sure we have some hyphen in between that, so it makes it easier for you to read. Yeah. So we know there are so many things we can lay our hands on when it comes to development and how far we are in Liberia. So, Mr. Kandibo, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
But just you're a little bit louder, but I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Can you tell us some of the things that you think, apart from the laws of the organic laws of the land, can you tell us some of the things that have impeded growth or impeded development in Liberia?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of things that are holding Liberia backward when it comes to development. Liberia is a very small country to develop a patient that those of us who are Liberian people, if we really want to see Liberia develop, Liberia can be developed tomorrow. Because Liberia is not a poor nation. The resources that Liberia have can go around, and in fact, we can build streets of gold in Liberia. Broad Street, if we want to change Broad Street to Gold Street, we can do that. But if you look at one of the problems that is plaguing Liberia, corruption is plaguing Liberia very, very much, and I'm very afraid that when Joseph Boakai takes over the country, we'll go back to the scene 6 and 7. There have to be measures put in place to try to audit these people to make sure. Look, I said something to somebody the other day that, in fact, if I was the one who got elected as president-elect of the Republic of Liberia, like Joe Boakai, I will definitely build jails. The very first document my signature will go on would be to build jails. Because if you build jails and start locking these corrupt politicians up, then people will begin to learn. If you look at Liberia, since after the war, the infrastructure of our country have been destroyed, and nobody focusing their attention on developing the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf into power. She and her entire government for over the amount of 12 years that they stay in office, they didn't do nothing to try to, even the airport that she was going through every day. It's not rocket scientists. The road she drives on, the road that she drives on every day. You know, the attitude of these politicians, more especially the people that call themselves politicians in Liberia, it looked like to me, when I look at Ellen Johnson Sirleaf leadership, when I left here and went to Liberia in 2021, it's like somebody, they have personal vendetta with the country. You know, they have personal vendetta with the country, and because of that, they decide to punish everybody. There is no justifiable reason for which these people would be corrupt the way they are corrupt in the country, and they can open the fog and take every cent out of there. You cannot see any, there is no development. The next thing is the resources of the country patient is being sold on black market. No government, no country work like that. You see, how you take the resources of the country, and more especially like the show that we did, I think it was yesterday, the show we did yesterday. Look at that show and see what you saw there. There are people that are mining illegally throughout the country. I don't care whether they got document or thing, but what is the development they're bringing? Those companies that are operating, that are taking diamond and gold and things from Liberia or interior part of Liberia. Why are they living there? What are they doing? How much money they paying the people? You see, they are doing it at the detriment of the poor people in Liberia. They can't even get copper rest to eat. They demolish the people home and thing, and they decide to give them $500. $500 can build a house for somebody after you have breaking down the person's house. But it is the same thing that I'm talking. The government have become a stumbling block to the development of Liberia. The medical system of our country is completely deplorable. The educational system of Liberia is deplorable. Every system of Liberia is deplorable, patient, that need to be looked at. But if you look at the legislature, look at the amount of money they're making. The United States government legislature is not making that kind of money, as a matter of fact. You understand? So what development going to come to a country like that, where the people have only the people have just gotten together and say, look, we want to destroy this place economically. Trickle-down economics doesn't work in any country, patient. What it means is that the breadcrumb drop from the rich man mouth, and the poor man pick it up and eat. That's what they call trickle-down economics. It never worked in any country. So it will not work in Liberia this day.
So you're only talking about those in authority, Mr. Cannibal. What about the people that put them into authority? What about those people? Because like the video you made mention of, this person was talking about the amount of money they gave him when they broke down, his home, or for him to relocate. But yet they say he was wearing a politician T-shirt. So what
they think that is this patient.
Yeah.
I'm a Bassa man, so I understand the Bassa language very well. The Bassa people have a parable that says, when you took it, how for do? I have no way, so I have to marry to Mr. Ta if my name was Yeto. You see, that's a little parable there. The idea that the man wearing this shirt, look at his condition. The condition there, or the poverty that these people have lived in, the government, what the government have done, put a stranglehold on these people. You think in your mind, if for some reason the government was instrumental enough to say, look, we'll stop corruption here, equal work for equal pay. A young girl who have the qualification to be minister in Liberia should be minister no matter what, regardless of her beauty and this and that. Let me tell you something. I'm a man, but not every woman going to see me and want me. And put aside some of the nepotism and bad behavior of the Liberian people and decide to actually go and do things fairly in the country constitutionally. You understand?
Okay.
If in a country like we have always compared America and Liberia, if you live in a country, if you want to go look for a job, and a guy who's supposed to hire you patient told you that he wants you, that's a violation. That's a violation right there. You violate the law, and in fact, it will result into a dismissal, and you will go to court and sue that company, and you will get restitution from the company because of what they have done. They have traumatized you. They have done a whole lot of things to you by just what the hiring or officer did to you. You see. But go back to Liberia and see the kind of destruction that these people have caused to our people. The politicians in Liberia have caused to our people, more especially as it relates to hiring practices and things. Then you talk about this guy that we saw wearing a representative T-shirt, and he himself sitting down there. The only thing he's trying to think about is how he can get one cup of rice to eat, and for he and his family to be able to eat. As long as somebody giving him a few dollars to put in his pocket, he all right with that. You see? But the question is that what he entitled to? No, he's not entitled to $5 or $10 because you're running a concession area, and more especially that guy is in leadership, the indigenous leadership in that particular locality. You see? But the people have no regard whatsoever for their own country.
Let's hold you over there and go back to Mr. Jones. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Jones. I know you have been hosting, and but I'm glad you're laying the premise already, and you're talking about the organic law of the land, and which also form part of the fundamental problems or challenges in Liberia that has impeded the development of this nation. We also want to move past that. We have this law, and of course, there will be time that there will be some amendments that will be done. But also, we want to look at the people, and those that are in strategic leadership. Are they part and parcel, or are they not part and parcel of this topic they're talking about? Are they not part and parcel of it? Have they not been part of the people that have been impeding the growth and development of Liberia?
I think for example, me.
Yeah, I'm talking to you, Mr. Jones.
Well, I was listening.
We are looking at leadership here. Yeah, we are looking at leadership. Sorry, we're looking at leadership, and we're looking at the people, because those that get into leadership, they were elected by the citizens. So we are looking at both.
Well, I think we said, everybody has said it. Everybody knows the problem in Liberia is bad leadership, corrupt leadership, useless leadership. That's been a problem from 1847. The evidence is clear. Countries that have good leadership develops and grows and becomes rich. Countries that have bad leadership stays impoverished, go through civil war and corruption. Clear example, take Botswana. It's in the same Africa that the same black people, they breathe the same air we breathe, all right? And they have good leadership. And Botswana is one of the thriving countries in the world, not just in Africa. So it's not a black thing or white thing. It's leadership thing. We are going back to our problem. The question now becomes, how do you select good leadership? It's the same question you ask, how do you select good employee? What do? You have a standard. If you say this job, we require that you have a bachelor's degree, or you have only people with bachelor's degree will apply. Right? If you say that if you want 5 years experience minimum, only people with 5 years experience will go there. You can't kind of say, oh, my brother, he got master's degree, but he got only 4 years degree. So the process of getting good leadership is the same process you use to recruit in the private sector. The only difference is that democracy, people think all democracy is good. That once you say democracy, once somebody elected, then it's good. Most of the world today is run by monarchies, including all the Europe, Finland, all monarchy, United Kingdom, the monarchy. Okay, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the monarchy. Most of those countries. So our confusion is like thinking that when you elect somebody, then that automatically leads to development. That's where we miss the point. And that's not the case. You can have a dictator, Thomas Sankara, you can have a military regime, and they can do far better than a democratic regime. We get a case with Jerry Rawlings, honor Jerry Rawlings in Ghana, and now honor Kofi Ado. Jerry Rawlings did far better.
But in fact, what you're talking is true. It's true because look at Burkina Faso, back to the same Thomas Sankara country, Ibrahim Traore.
So Liberians, the Lakinis in the store. Oh, democracy. Oh, let's just vote. My vote will count. And that's not always the case. So I think that's where I was coming from to say, your budget you're talking about. I was listening when you said that the legislator make more money in America than the legislator in America, correct?
Of course.
But the Constitution says that the legislature to determine the budget. So if the Constitution says that the legislature should determine the budget, then you think that people are not going to pay themselves more?
Okay, Mr. Jones, let me hold you there. We have a caller on the line. Hopefully we can hear him well because he wanted to make a contribution. Hello, can you tell us who you are and where you're calling from?
Well, Amos, Merry Christmas to the guests there. Amos, we are calling from Westchester, PA, Pennsylvania.
Okay, thank you, Amos. Make your contribution.
Well, the issue of development that has been impeded over the years is just the issue of bad leadership. When people come to leadership, they don't consider the business of public servants. That they have come to work or leave a good legacy behind, a legacy of hard work, character. And if you just come to leadership because you went to school, you got all the degrees, the country should pay you, and you're not satisfied with your salary. That's what the problem is. It's not that our country is overrich. Many people have said that out of Liberia, but we are surprised that we all live in abject poverty. When you come to leadership, it is to serve your people, make sacrifices, leave a mark, so tomorrow somebody can come and say, yes, they got their well, they did well. But when you come to leadership with a mindset, to rob the government, to pay us overnight, we always have a situation. So it is always a board down the kind of leaders that come to power, come to leadership. And you come in to pay yourself, you're not satisfied with your salary. We always have a kind of thing. It always impede, now. One case in point, people are not taking pay. People come out and talking about having inauguration where they spend all of the money or kind of thing. Why people not take pay after they are work? Some people retire, they didn't get paid for what? How you want to do that? I mean, you will be rejoiced, you will be satisfied with your family, but the vast majority, they are there, no pay. So the people that will come to leadership, the other be a gateway to development or show our development. The leader that you come bring to power.
Okay. We can't hear you guys.
Too powerful. Either is positive or negative.
Sorry, Amos, let me ask you one thing before you continue. You talk about bad leadership, and those that are in leadership are the people that are elected by the very people they lead. So who's responsible here? Is it the leaders? Are the leaders responsible, or the people that elected them?
Nation is two-way street, right? Sometimes the people will come with all their swim mud, this, that. And the people are entrusted with power, all the two ways. So now we also made the wrong decisions. Which also the electrics, we made the wrong decisions. But it's a two-way street.
Okay.
It's a two-way street. Some of the people will tell them, for example, don't vote for the president, the conscience tax you. People will talk about our people made on their minds, we vote for the president. At the end of the day, they start crying. Another way is, there's a man approach, you will do this, you got a record, this and that. When they put in there, sometimes you say that the right person you put in there, they go and do the wrong thing. So it's a two-way street.
Okay.
One of the people we see, we can't tell on, so we bet on them. When they go there, they see what thing.
Okay, thank you, Amos. Thank you for your contribution. You are watching us live. We are on Fortified City TV, and the topic here for discussion today is what has impeded development in Liberia. You can make your contribution. You can call our number or WhatsApp or direct. It's +1 952 201 and 9287. So we continue with our discussion. Mr. Jones was on the floor, and we'll get back to Mr. Jones.
Yeah. So look, I don't believe it's a two-way street. You can't blame a hungry man for making irrational decisions. So if somebody, they don't have any food, they don't have any means, and you got a corrupt politician that comes and say, "Hey, if you vote for me, I will give you this amount of money, or I'll give you this." You can't blame the person. So it goes back to your constitution. Your constitution is what should prevent bad people from coming to power, and your constitution should not give the kind of authority. Like, for instance, you talk about the budget. There are ways where the legislator should not be responsible to set their own salary. Okay, the central bank can do that based on the economic condition of the country. Because if you tell me to set my own salary, and I got children in America, I got house payment in America, and I'm a poor man, and I never had cars and never had houses, what do you think I'm going to do? So, again, you cannot compare Liberia with America. America has checks and balances. It's a democracy of over 200 years that came from the British of over 10,000 years, Lame would say. So you cannot copy some of this stuff, and then you say, "Oh, the how is done in America." If you say you have a federal system, you have the Federal Reserve, you have a watch group, you have a literate society. Liberia don't have none of those things. The illiteracy rate in Liberia is one of the highest in the world. Before somebody run for office, whether you're running for city council or you're running for mayor, there's a debate. There's a media. There's a constructive media that writes about candidates, that watch. What the media in Liberia? All the media in Liberia, with the exception of the one or probably one or two other, they pay all of the pocket of the politicians, the corrupt politicians. So that's where I'm coming from. The only way forward in Liberia, you got to scrap the whole system, make the change from the constitution. Said all the things you want to say, like the things you mentioned, people should be given job, not based on your political party, who you support, but you got to go through a committee, review committee. The committee should be independent of the government. President can appoint you. Election commission, president can appoint you. You got to take those drastic steps because the country you come from, the history and the level it is. That's what South Korea did. What you call it, Hong Kong. You can't take the same steps that you taking in advanced to people where they can't read and write, even to mark the ballot. They don't even know how to mark the ballot. Then you go there and say, "Oh yeah, they can vote." The people they're not literate to vote. Even the ones that who here in America, the ones that who went to school in America, you listen to some of the things that people are talking, and you wonder where they live in. So it comes from the point where we started on a bad trajectory, meaning, it's a country where they wanted to dump people, get rid of the slave problems, and they just say, "Okay, you know what, you guys go, you figure it out." It was up to us now to go in After a while, review our constitution. No, we can't give the president too much power. We can't make the Senate. What if the senators are corrupt? Then what? Your constitution have to ask those questions. What if the president is corrupt? What if the president is incompetent? You can't say 2/3 of the people who voted him in office before you pass a referendum. It's impossible. There's no way forward. All you're gonna have is one group of politicians going to be recycled, another group will come after this election. Everybody will be saying, "Oh, one job we are back," or "Hey, people," but then Boyka will come back because these are the people who have used the system. They rigged the system. Okay, the politicians, the corrupt politicians, to make it work for them. They have all the money. They control the budget. They control the laws. And the only way that has changed in human civilization is through a revolution or overtake. That's what happened in Burkina Faso. That happened in Guinea. The politicians were not going to go away. The politicians were never going to say, "Okay, yeah, let me, I'm tired of eating now. Let me give it to somebody else." People are greedy naturally. It's not a Liberian thing. So have a constitution that will prevent incompetent people from coming to power, that will prevent people with bad ethics and morals in society from even holding public office. That will not overpay your government officials. That will be paid commensurate to what the wealth of the Irishman. And see how many people won't run for president or won't go in office. You can say the monthly pay in Liberia that's $60 a month, but then the senator making 9,000 and 10,000.
Okay, Mr. Cannibal, now that we have the rescue team in power, what do you think is going to happen? What do you envisage, or what's your opinion on development, given the number of years Ambassador Boyka have served Liberian government, and he also know the history of former leaders, and we can see where Liberia is at right now. What do you think he's going to do in terms of development? Are you positive? Are you looking forward to, or do you think he's going to do something about development in every sector? Because we're just not talking about one sector as a concern development. The whole of Liberia needs overhaul. So what's your opinion?
Well, my opinion is, I would say the same thing that I know it was Samuel or somebody said back in the day in Liberia. Don't expect too much too soon, patient. When it comes to the rescue team, even though they have good heart for the country, they want to bring about development. And Joseph Boyka, I specifically went to Liberia to try to look at Joseph Boyka, the way he lived, because since in fact the guy who was George, we are best friend who owned Front Page Africa. What the guy named say Mo. What he named the guy who owned Front Page Africa. Rondesie. He and myself on a plane coming from Liberia on Air France, and I asked him a specific question as a journalist. I asked him, I say, Ronnie, let me ask you a question. I say, who is the fierce person in Liberia in this election against George Weah that you guys are afraid of? He said, Joseph Boyka. I said, why? He said, because Joseph Boyka got the temperament and Joseph Boyka can beat George Weah in any election. I said, what's about Alexander Cummings? And I asked him all the other questions. He said, Joseph Boyka was the man that was going to beat George Weah. And of course, what he said to me became true. But yet the problem here, patient. One of the things that Liberian people Liberian leaders doesn't do is to vet. The United States government vet. They vet people like my brother over there. One of the points he made there is vetting people. To vet people is a very good thing, because you will get to know the inside of the person when you go for the interview for a job. When you go for an interview for a job, the people that are going to hire you, the company or that particular entity will get to know the kind of person you are through your resume. You see, they will ask you questions, and those questions are not asked in Liberia. The legislature, if you look at what the legislature work is in Liberia, is to advise and consent. Okay, advise and consent. That's the reason why all the ministers, when they are appointed, they send them to be confirmed. They go through confirmation hearing. That confirmation hearing is the interview for that job that you go into, for the Liberian people to actually hear from you. Those things are televised here, or when the Judiciary Committee is going through, they asking the question, or are the people who want to be secretary or labor secretary or this secretary or that, which is the minister and this and that and the rest of it, because those ministers are the advisor to the president, or that would run the country for that 4 years. The problem I have there is there is not a vetting process in a country. So the people get up. The same thing happening again. I don't have faith in the Liberian government. I don't have faith in the Liberian government because the rescue team, there are a lot of corrupt people that I see line up today or tomorrow that are going to be taking office in Liberia. The question there is, what will be the role of Joseph Boakai? Is he going to be able to go to various ministries to see what is going on, or is he going to have an oversight to be able to check those various ministries and agencies? Because if you look at people like Amara Connor and all the people who are going right back into government, even though Amara Connor is going as a senator, patient, Amara Connor himself is a very corrupt guy. Go back to his record. I mean, I had no fish to fry in that oil. I'm not a part of the rescue team. I'm not part of the political machine of Liberia. But the thing that is, most of the people that you're looking at are going to go take government position. These people are corrupt. Case in point, these people who talk about the rescue team. Look at Nyobi Kanga, who is from our own county in Liberia. The key there is look at St. John River. The bridge was falling off that river, and these people were driving on it, and this and that and the rest of it, and they were waiting for the president to try to put out money to try to fix St. John River Bridge. Those are things that you look at. These people are not development-oriented people. Okay, these people, the only thing they're in it for Liberia is an LFMB. People are going to cut their own and keep moving. We make all the noise. At the end of the day, Joe Boakai going to fail if we don't put our hand around him to try to be sincere to the country and be able to do away with corruption. Patient. That way our country. That what killing our country.
Okay, Mr. Jones, we'll go back to you.
Oh wow, what was the question?
Are you expecting change when it comes to Ambassador Boakai? Because this is a rescue team, and the team is all about rescuing Liberia from the situation Liberia is in right now. And so people voted overwhelmingly for this government. And so if they have voted, their expectations are very high. I heard one of the senior partisans said that people should manage their expectation. So is that fair to the people that are expecting the rescue team to rescue
I think the people made another grave mistake. Not because a country is called the Democratic Republic of Congo, there's anything resembling democracy there. Let's go back in history again. I like to look at people's history. A person's intelligence is judged upon the decision they've made in the past. Okay, so whether somebody is old or young, if somebody says, this thing will happen and it happens, and somebody who is older say it will happen and it doesn't happen, who's smarter? Who's wiser? We had Ellen Johnson. Ellen Johnson said she was going to fight corruption. She was going to make corruption and public enemy number one. It was a cancer in society. I sat there many times and I said, Ellen would be a complete and utter failure. Upon day one, I said she'll be just as corrupt and the country is not going nowhere. I was right. We came with George Weah. The whole bunch of people you see behind, some of them who behind Ellen and some of them who behind Weah, because Liberian people, they're only two-sided. They can't think beyond two. Two is a big number for them to think. So they either go with the worst or two evil. They don't know that there are 5 million people. So they came with what's his name, Josh Weah. But they said that Popo, that countryman president, Popo, the man did this. It was wrong. I was right. I never supported him. I felt it was going to be a failure. And now we're coming with Joe Boakai. Okay, what he's saying, rescue. Rescue what? Have Joe Boakai given one exclusive interview on any media station to highlight what his thinking, what his thoughts, what his ability on the economy, on employment, on women's rights, on female genital mutilation, on all these things. No, this man has not given any Liberian a sit down interview. I will almost argue in his entire political career. A man who can do that, a man who you were expecting, especially coming from the history of coming, don't waste your time and don't waste mine. Secondly, okay, uh, the Rodney C you talk about, Rodney C was some of the same people who had all the confidence in Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf will do that. And what ended up happening? Ellen Johnson ended up, or government ended up putting him in jail, almost closed down his paper. So I'm not impressed by people who, who the loudest. I'm impressed by people who can predict and who can look at things and judge it dispassionately. I don't know Joseph Boakai. I don't have anything personal against him. But what I do know, he's very incompetent. Look at the Libya mining things in Liberia when they brought all those tractors to Liberia under Joseph Boakai to manage to grow rice and stuff, the Libya Corporation. What ended up happening to it? What ended up happening to the equipment? Even if the Libya government was changed, you had equipment worth millions of dollars. Go to Lufa County. That's an example. So look, Dongode did not have to be president of Nigeria in order to build refinery, build cement company, build, what's the other company? Yes, sugar, all that kind of stuff. You know somebody who's capable when you hear them or when you see that track record. This man has nothing but failures in his track record. Like you said, look at the people he's surrounding himself with. Which one of those people have even sat down on any panel discussion to know their views? They run away from the press because they have nothing to offer. So I'm praying I'm wrong, but I can almost looking at today is Christmas Day. A year from now, we'll come here again and you'll be convinced that this man's the biggest mistake. The thing about Josh Weah is why I think people understandably could give him the benefit of the doubt is because he never really held government position. He was coming from a private sector, so people are willing to say, you know what, maybe if we bring in somebody who is not don't have the track record, so I can comprehend a little of the thinking. I don't agree with it. But yes, a man who sat down in government, live on government, educated, everything he have based on Liberian government. Tell me one thing. Show me one development. Let's say agriculture. Show me in the agricultural sector in Liberia where you can point to and say Joseph Boakai is responsible for this change in Liberia. Nobody can tell you that. And then you're telling me, it's the same as telling me, George Weah was gonna be a poor president. So it's just slogan. It's nonsense. There's no evidence to back it. The people don't have any plan. They come here around taking pictures with low-level government officials. Even if you're taking pictures at a meeting, what does that mean? Nothing. You went into the IMF. IMF is the biggest problem in Africa today. The loans that IMF have given to Liberia, the structural adjustment program, all these programs have made Africans poor. They are the major cause today. And then you get foolish Americans jumping, but IMF and you bring SAE and all that kind of people. What did IMF do on Sirleaf for 12 years? They took all the resources, all the companies came in, the Western company. Today we have nothing to show for it. We have nothing. The people live in mass poverty. And with Joseph Boakai was right there. Amarconi was right there. Kafuyan was right there. That you're smart people. And now you don't have anything in the country. Then you're telling me that they were going to rescue. Rescue what?
Okay, thank you. Let's hold you over there, Mr. Jones. Thank you so much. Dylan, we want to say welcome back. Sorry, we had a technical problem, but I'm glad you're able to make it back in. We are talking about the big question. How can Liberians manage their expectations? Because that was a message from the incoming government. How can we manage expectations? Or how can the Liberians manage expectations when, in fact, Liberians were looking out for someone to rescue them? Now that they have rescuers, and then the rescuers come and say, manage your expectation. How are they supposed to do that?
Well, I mean, if you ask me,
that's just your opinion.
Yeah, just based on my opinion. I think that you know, the rescue team set very high expectations already, even prior to the conclusion of the electoral process. The standard bearer already came out. The standard bearer of the Unity Party already came out and said that you're going to pave all roads, or you're going to make sure all roads are drivable throughout the country. So, you know, I don't know if that was a realistic target to place out there, or it was just campaign promises that he knew that may be very difficult to fulfill. Because I think he said that he was going to do that within 90 days or something of that nature. So I think they've set the standard to a point where, yeah, the expectation is going to be very high. But I think moving into any government or any new administration, you do have to manage your expectations, but you got to also look at the fact that the need in Liberia is so great. People have been deprived of just normal living for so long that even if you talk to them about managing expectations, it may be difficult from their standpoint to do that. But I just hope that they'll be able to deliver on the things that they said they'll be able to deliver on. I don't see how in this short time frame that they've set for themselves, the first 90 days. But you know, we're all on Team Liberia. We all hope for the best for the country. So we're on the sidelines and we're watching, and we're hoping for the best, preparing for the worst, and you know, we're going to be calling out the negative things we see. We're going to be praising the positive things we see, and just hoping for the upliftment and the improvement of the lives of our people.
Yeah, looking at the first 90 days, there was a statement that Ambassador Boyka made. He said, just going to paraphrase, I think, that no car going to leave, right? Going to leave on the major highway, going to break down, or going to leave on the major highway. I stand to be corrected, but he meant that you're not going to have a break, or you're not going to get stuck on the highway. On the highway. So, what do you think that statement means? Because people might have different interpretations.
Just as I stated before, I interpreted that to mean that they're going to plow all the roads, not pave all the roads, because that's an expectation that you know, it's pretty much a fable or a myth or a fallacy. But I understood that to mean they're going to plow even the roads that are not yet paved. They're going to try their best to gritter the roads, like you say in Liberia, or plow the roads to where they're at least drivable. But on a nationwide scale in 90 days, I don't know if that has ever been done or if that is even possible, looking at the resources we have available to us as a government, as a people in Liberia. I think that if you ask me, purely my opinion, those were campaign promises that are going to be hard to deliver.
Mr. Cannibal, what do you think about that statement? Is it possible, or is it one of those lyrics that politicians gave the electorate so they can, you know, have something to celebrate about?
First of all, patient, if I have to say something about that, I agree with my brother, but I think I have no patience whatsoever. Neither do I have confidence in the Liberian government to say anything that they have said they will do within 90 days until I see it before I can believe it. That's number one. But if you look at the point my brother made here this afternoon concerning the Liberian government as it relates to making roads and things, well, you know, things are changing every day in Liberia, and Joe Boga and other people who leading the rescue team, they put Mandela Cooper and other leaders in the country. You know, they have to be very, very mindful, because there's a tightrope that they are walking there. Because to me, if you ask me how I feel about people about the Liberian government doing well in Liberia in 90 days, they cannot fix all the roads within 90 days. I disagree with that. And I agree with my brother here who said that 90 days will not be enough for Bogadendo to even if it's dusty road, they
The
can't
thing
do
here,
all of the roads.
Mr. Cannibal,
Yes, ma'am.
he was not specific. He said no car will be stuck on the
Okay,
medium.
no car will be stuck in
Maybe
excess.
we are going into the dry season. Maybe it's because the place will not be too wet or muddy for car to get stuck. You don't know, or
Of course.
maybe you want to have tow trucks ply in the road, and when you break down, it just take you away.
Okay. I mean, if that is the case, then I can understand that. But when it comes to actual putting figure on what development going to look like in Liberia, people will not expect too much too soon from this government. You see, so do not expect.
When should they expect something from this government? Because they came purposely to rescue people.
Okay, if that is the case,
People were expecting a lot from Ellie. They were expecting a lot from Ellie, but she did not deliver. So they turned the expectation towards Josh Weah. And so when he came, they felt that this is our own, and so
you,
they were expecting a lot. Now
the pastor man got the pastor man got a parable that says they play your child gonna live. The door that comes from the door body you should look at. Because in the very first place, when you look at door get dry from the behind, from the backside. So obviously, when you look at people like Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who before they even came to power, their leadership was a failure before they even came to power in Liberia, then obviously that was not going to happen. When Ellen came to power, Ellen had the opportunity to develop Liberia because most of the donor money they came directed during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government because the country was just coming out of war, and all of the donor countries were giving money, and all the NGOs were in Liberia at the time. When you look at people like Tony Blair and Bill Clinton, the former president for the United States, were all advocating for money to come into Liberia. But again, we go back to corruption. We go back to the scene 6 and 7. The oil well and everything that you're looking at in Liberia that came about, where is it today? Ellen then squander everything, the resources of the country, and they enriched themselves. People like Augustine Gaffwan and other people got rich from there, and they all sitting there. They are fat cow politicians. And the new breed of politicians going to take over and say, well, they're using different slogans and saying, well, this is a rescue team and this and that and the rest of it. You see, they say the Christmas, if the Christmas going to be good, you will know it from the eve. Liberian people have failed. Governments have come and failed the Liberian people over and over and over and over. So I had no faith, neither do I have any kind of a strong feeling that these people are going to be any different from the past governments and things that have come into play in Liberia.
Can I just add to what Brother Ibrahim just said? All right. Look, these people are clever politicians. They are so corrupt, and they come up with these fancy slogans, like I said. Honor Ellen was corruption, public enemy number one. Look, Joseph Boakai didn't win no election in Liberia. Prince Johnson was the factor on which Joseph Boakai won the election. So he should thank his God for Prince Johnson. And that is a travesty in Liberia where a man like Prince Johnson can determine our election. And a man like Joseph Boakai.
And also not forgetting about Stanton Waterspoon as well. Stanton played a major role in it.
A criminal, a man who was indicted for crimes. These are the two people Liberia on which George Weah beat Joseph Boakai in the first round, even with all the political parties. I'm not a George Boakai advocate, so that thing people talking about, George Boakai won, the people won, he can beat George Weah. That's not true. If Prince Johnson would have just remained neutral, the outcome would have been different. So you're giving him way too much credit for something that he did not achieve. Okay. So the second thing is, they use this fancy word and say, we squander opportunity. What does that mean? Think about it. No, they did not. They stole the money. What you call legal corruption. They took the money that came to Liberia and paid themselves 10, 20, $30,000, give themselves all kinds of retirement packages in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. They stole the money. Nothing was squandered. They stole it. The Amara Corners, the Joseph Boakai, a loan office received $2 million every year, about $2 million plus or minus, depending on the year, for 12 years. So that's not squandering. That is embezzlement. When you take a poor country money, $2 million of it, okay, and you take it, and you don't have one, you haven't given one account. So who are you going to audit? Start with your office. So what I'm saying, these people are just liars, and they just know what to play on the Liberian people's psyche, and because Joshua was so unpopular, that's why they were able to get away with it. And of course, because Joshua did not align himself with Prince Johnson, at least he got some morals. At least Joshua got some morals to say, I'm not going to listen to you, Prince Johnson. I'm not going to cower to you. But Joseph Boakai has no morals. A man who says, I will dance with evil people just to win an election, that a man who would deliver you. Look at the people he stands with. Look at it. You know what I mean? Liberian people are so gullible. Anybody that tell them anything, like a 16-year-old girl, where every man came from her and tell her, say, oh, I will love you, they agree. That's how Liberian people act. Ellen King did the same thing to you. Do you think, let me ask you another question here. There's no comparison in terms of the intellectual ability, the international connection, the skills that Ellen Johnson had and Joseph Boakai. Okay? Ellen Johnson is far superior. If Ellen Johnson, for 12 years, could not deliver Liberia with all of the international aid and everything, then you telling me these ragtag people in American and Gafuene who never held a real position before they became Liberian government, that the people who were capable to rescue Liberia from what? Poverty? So, the fact is, nothing is going to happen. They don't even know. It's one thing for somebody to be corrupt and intelligent. In China, people are corrupt. In India, people are corrupt. In Cambodia, in Brazil. The difference is these people have the ability. They can deliver. In the Middle East, there are a lot of corrupt countries, but they can build something. Show me which one is will have built even an organization or a government. The Kofi Woods. Show me the organization Kofi Woods built to say, I built this in Liberia here. Look at my leadership. The Gafuan, show me the business that he built. They can only pass around government. So that's what I'm saying. For you to even think that these people are capable of even running a lemonade stand, they passing around, they can't even have a conversation. You and I here, we can sit out here and we can disagree and we can debate economic issue, we can debate social issue. These people are incapable of doing that, including the Joseph Boakai. He cannot sit down and tell you what he wanted to do. So what they did was they lied to the Liberian people. They had no plan. They've got no plan, no direction. So they just had to come up with something. Now they're going around now. You can come up with anything and say, oh, we'll fix the road, no car will be stuck. What a foolish statement. So, good luck. But I can tell you, don't put don't hang any hope on it, because you've been fooled before, and you were.
Okay, Mr. Jones, thank you. There was a program that was held yesterday. There was a program that was held yesterday at Senator Prince Johnson's church. At that program, they had a group of boys called Sons of Kun, Sons of Jeremiah Kun, and they honor Prince Johnson as a rescuer. They said for his services rendered to the rescue mission and the people the people of Liberia at large. So my question here is, what did he do for the Liberian people? This man is a man that murdered people in the Civil War that cost 200,000 plus lives to be wasted. So what exactly did he do for the Liberian people that he's been on?
Patient.
Yeah.
I'll be leaving you guys in about a few minutes. Let me just say something quickly, then
Yeah,
I
we
will.
are rounding up. Yeah, that's the last question. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
One of the things you got to look at when it comes to Liberia, Liberia's still in a state of war, but the Liberian people themselves are tired with war. And this election that took place, if for some reason George Weah had just decided to, take this election by force, but now we would have heard problem in Liberia because Prince Johnson retreated to Nima. Prince Johnson retreated to Nima County, and he retreating to Nima County set the stage for another political skirmish in Liberia. I knew that for sure. Before Tom Wayu passed away, Tom Wayu told me that in Nima County have the leftover guns that were used, those stockpiles of guns that were taken to Liberia by Charles Taylor and them. Those guns are still in Nima County, buried there, and it can start a new war and end it. But what I'm trying to tell you here is the fact that Prince Johnson, Prince Johnson didn't want because we are and other people like Joel Howard Taylor and all the people wanted Prince Johnson to join in with them. But then Prince Johnson have given the opportunity to Weah. The Weah leadership, to be very frank with you, was a failure in Liberia. All of these leaderships have been failure in Liberia, and the people were suffering. The people had nothing to hang their hat on or their mind on or anything like that. People were suffering. They were living below one loaf of bread and stuff like that in the country. So people who are destitute like that, they have no way of thinking to say, look, we have to step back to try to see as to whether this man is in our interest. Even the guy they call Butt Naked, Milton Blythe. Milton Blythe were willing to go in the street again to try to actually join Prince Johnson. This time, it was going to be the Crown and the people from Nima County joining together now to actually start a war. Then I don't know which other tribe were going to join there and this and that and the rest of it. That's why you were looking at there during this election, patient. And if you listen to Milton Blythe on Spoon Television, the threat that he made because of Jefferson Kochi, what Jefferson Kochi had done and what Jefferson Kochi wanted him to do. Then you had George Soros. George Soros had left from the United States and gone and positioned himself in Liberia. And he said he wanted to stage a demonstration. And other people started talking to him, do not do it yet until after the election because we got things under control. So obviously, all the guys who held gun in Liberia, who destroyed Liberia and destroyed human being, were ready to start a war in Weah had not stepped down. And my praises can go to Weah for understanding. In fact, myself did not like the Weah administration, but I gave him praise for stepping down after the election result came up and they say he lost the election in the second round. You see, even people today, people that are follower of George Weah, up to now, they have not been able to concede, not be able to gravel with what happened in a country that George Weah lost the election. He conceded to the new leadership. You see, so those are things.
Thank you, Mr. Cannibal.
Gentlemen?
Dillon? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so this is my last comment. I agree with Mr. Cannibal that we're still in a state of war in Liberia. The war that we face in Liberia now is more of an internal strife, between the haves and haves not, and it's playing out in the things that we see with the government, and the typical Liberian feels that if they just go to the poll and they elect somebody, they're going to elect the next Messiah, but there is no Messiah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. No one person can solve this thing. It has to be a collective effort with those who are enlightened and also those who have a means of understanding that this thing is deeper than just what meets the eye, But when I say that, I'm just alluding to our previous conversation that we had prior to the technical difficulties. That when you look at the entire problem in Liberia, it stems from the origin of our country, and it shows that we try to forge a society based on foreign principles. And now, really, whoever is at the helm of power in Liberia, we have to grapple with the idea, the concept that we have to form a new society that's based on Liberian values, our values. We have to form a society at that which those who are at top somehow they understand that they're accountable for those who are at the bottom, and they're not only beholden to the desires of their group of people who are all at the hierarchy of the country. We have to be able to form a truly African identity in order to serve and solve African problems and serve African people. And as long as we're not dealing with these core and fundamental issues, we can deal with the things at the top and say, oh yeah, if we just tweak this and just tweak that and we tweak this, is our country is going to move forward. But no, it's not going to move forward unless we deal with this whole system that we've created, where there are people on top and they are larger than the law, they're larger than the government, they're larger than society itself, and they're untouchable and they cannot be touched. And the economy is only there for them to reap for the benefit of their of their own and that of their families and the people they love. We have to make sure that the Liberian dream is something that every Liberian can ascribe to, can hope for, and believe that truly they can accomplish by working hard and doing their best. If we cannot do that, we can keep having elections forever, man. But at the end of the day, we're going to have a legislature who their interests, the whole legislature is suffering from regulatory capture, where they are serving their own interests instead of the interests of the nation at large. And we'll have a leader who serving his own interests, and in doing so, we're not going to get anywhere. So, in saying that, I too am about to bow out gracefully. But
we are almost done.
All wish for the best for Liberia, but we're going to have to do the heavy lifting, and it's not any cosmetic thing we have to do. We have to do the deep dive and answer the hard questions and do the hard work. All right.
Thank you, Dylan. But stay until we go. Okay, Mr. Jules, we went to, the last question, which people answer in a different, understanding. We talk about Prince Johnson being a rescuer. He came to rescue. This is a man that was involved into killing. More than 200,000 lives were lost during the war. Who did he rescue? The people he rescued, are those people that became orphans, or that lost either one parent or the other, or lost their siblings? Are those the people he rescued, and what are they being rescued from? And he was honored for rescuing Liberia and Haiti. So, in your opinion,
look, I don't even want to dignify mentioning people like Prince Johnson, and every time, the reason why I'm so outraged with a man like Walker and think he has no morals is because the same Prince Johnson said a lot of things about Joe Walker when he supported we are 6 years ago. A lot of disparaging things. Okay. The same Henry Costa that he was with said a lot of disparaging things. And those were the truth. But Liberians have the notion that when somebody is saying it's on your side, they can do no wrong. And that is part of our problem. That's our societal problem. We lack morals. We lack truth. We lack the ability, most of us at least, in Liberia, the ability to, see things for what they are. If Prince Johnson is the one that came to rescue Liberia, then Liberia needs to stay where it is. Okay? I would prefer let's stay where it is. Okay? Because this man has caused so much damage. And we turn around, we reward him, we bring it into government. Okay? Look, what do you think the international community look at us? Like fools in Liberia. What country do you know where the war laws, that are responsible for war on Truth and Reconciliation Commission as responsible, ended up becoming presidents and senators? We're a joke. Okay? The people everywhere in the world just look at us. They're very nice and polite, but they can look at us like these people are serious people. Look at who they have as a senator, Miguel, Prince Johnson. That a country that is going anywhere. You know, we act like we can't even think for ourselves. Like I said, we act like children, even though we've been around 176 years. So I mean, I was enjoying the conversation about looking at the future, past this all this nonsense that go on with the Joe Walker and all that kind of stuff because it's not about nonsense. How can you run to become president? You don't even have an agenda. That hope you'll be on. Oh, I think Walker, you don't have a platform, so you win election now. Then you run it around. You jump me. Oh, okay, we want international community. Oh, we want fix the road. What is the agenda and how are you going to? Where's the resources going to come from? So, in a way, Liberia deserves what it got. That's what you see that you deal with we are, and now you got again with look. More Abraham said. He said we're crazy. You're electing an 80-year-old man to become president in the 21st century. That in itself tells me you're not serious. What can he possibly connect with in the modern century? You understand? To even say, all right, I understand technology. If the American going to be doing it for you, why you didn't elect American? If the American and John Molu going to be running the government, why you didn't elect them? You show how foolish we are. So the fact that Prince Johnson today is a hero in Liberia because he brought this corrupt old man back to power that didn't do anything, and I would say, I don't mend my words. I don't go and say things behind people. Joe Walker is a useless politician. And he will
Okay.
always be a useless politician.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
All right?
you. We want to end here.
Merry Christmas to all of you.
Merry Christmas. Today, we were discussing some of the reasons that have impeded development in Liberia. And we started with the organic loss of the land. And then we went on to leadership and even the people that are entrusting themselves in the nation to people that are not really qualified to lead. So, but we will be here next couple of days for another discussion on training issues in Liberia. So we want to say thank you for joining us. This has been a presentation by Fortified City TV, and right here, sitting in studio in Minnesota, USA, and we had Mr. Abraham Cannibal all the way from Philly, and Mr. Chuchu Alex Jones from Mr.
Liberia.
Jones.
For Senegal.
Mr. Jones
Yeah, have a nice day.
from Michigan,
Senegal.
and we have Mr. DeLone all the way from Florida, vacationing in Florida. But we're glad that you were able to come and miss your busy schedule, and we were able to drink from your well of knowledge and even wisdom. So we want to say thank you, and we're going to have them back here on the platform, but we have to go now to continue our Christmas celebration. I want to say Merry Christmas to all of you. Merry Christmas to our incoming leaders. Merry Christmas to our outgoing leaders. Merry Christmas to our family and friends out there. Merry Christmas to everyone that you share the love of God. Keep sharing. God bless you. And this is your host on the Roundtable, Pastor Patience, and God bless you mightily.